Okay, so today was an interesting day. I got up and I was feeling a little off, and I started to think about what I was going to do today. And yesterday I did a lot of stuff. I did a lot of great research and all that, and had a lot of high energy. And today I was like, I woke up just out of it. And what came to me was the idea of incubation. In heuristic research, there's this idea that part of the research process is there's an incubation period. And if you talk with many creative people and artists, there needs to be an incubation period. So it's like even theorists and scientists, if we're creating, if we're channeling something, if we're expending our mental energy in some deep way, we have to have a break. And it's not just for rest, actually. One of the things in heuristic they talk about, and other kind of schools of thought that have this idea of the having to take a break, especially in the creative process. This incubation period, it's like you engage with something, you go deep into it, deep into it, you immerse yourself in it, and then you let it go and you incubate. Some people, they try to get inspiration and stimulation. They go, to something opposite that they have. If they're not artists, maybe they go to an art gallery, get stimulated, something else in some other ways that they're not doing every day. And the idea is to cleanse the palate on that level, to rest the brain, obviously, from that mode. But also, there is this notion of you need to give the space for the muse to communicate, for for even our unconscious mind to put stuff together. There's an unconscious stream process to any kind of creative work, any kind of, even if you're creating something in the physical world, like a car or something, or anything that you're creating out of the formless. After you immerse yourself, if you do kind of let go, there can be an emergence of a synthesis, an idea, or things come together and you're not even working on it. A lot of people have that experience. It's not a unique experience. So I was thinking about, okay, so today is going to be a incubation day. Let it go. And so it was cool. I was not upset that I was out of it. I was not upset that I couldn't continue. So I gave value to it, which was pretty cool. And it turned out I was just resting, whatever, and I got some ideas and started to put some stuff down and started to work on stuff just like if I was called to write something down or if I had an idea, then I would make a note, but not. And I did some worldly work, and that was also what I held it as. I'm, I'm cleansing the palate, doing something really different instead of, oh, I have to do, you know, finances or whatever. I was framing it as this is helpful for me to cleanse the palate, to get off of the other tracks I was on and let my beingness work on it under the surface. So that all of that was great. It was great reframing and all that. And then I had another challenge. Um, basically, through the grace of a dear friend, I have a roof over my head right now. I've been sleeping on an air mattress in the bedroom of a friend in this place, and he and his son have been incredibly gracious. It's been a long time here, actually, over a year, so they went way beyond, and we're all kind of recognizing that, I have to move on. The idea of, and so just to be reminded of that um, kind of felt like it was stopping my momentum, my creative process and all that. But then I was like, okay, wait a minute, it's going to come up in life. Stuff's going to come up, and that may throw your creative process off. Maybe, once again, it's a incubation process. Maybe it's, thinking about something that touches me so emotionally can really cleanse the palate. And it kind of did. I mean, in an intense way, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Am I going to be homeless again and all that? So there's a lot there. Um, and there's also, to be honest with you, I'm told I have a chemical problem. And we have this kind of society kind of problem with this, that you're mentally ill if or this whole idea of mental illness. It's not really. I think we're just way off the mark here. It's like I happen to be fairly fully functional if I'm not stressed. If I'm stressed, I'm a vegetable. And they're saying it's a chemical thing. It's in my DNA. It's connected to my stuttering. Actually, I have a form of stuttering that um, they believe, some people believe, at least from the research right now, is that um, people who stutter, they initiate speech on a different area of the brain. Supposedly, they have an overproduction of dopamine. I also heard that there can be an underproduction or balance of serotonin. So all of this, but we think these things are mental illness, but I think well, in the case of mine, it's like if the world was a low stress world, I would be totally sane. It's like because I can't fully function in normal in this society that we've created, I'm abnormal. But do we have a really healthy world? I don't know. Is it cool that we have all these stresses and stuff like that? I don't know. So it's like, and I don't know. That's a challenge area for me, and so I recognize, okay, the situation came up. It triggered all that stuff. It triggered my chemical response or whatever, you know. And but I was able to kind of witness it and just work it. One of the things I did is I did a drawing, and that really helped me. And I started. One of the things I do, basically, the drawings I do, I call them stream of consciousness drawings. Basically, I get into a stream of consciousness, like I just empty my mind. But before I empty my mind, I focus on something. Like I focus on my lived experience. Like if I'm, like today, I had this emotional charge around potentially being homeless again, and also the guilt of if I'm hurting people, if I'm putting people out, and I'm making people's lives harder, um, and all of that stuff. I went into it. I felt it. I tried to feel it in my body, and then I kind of just emptied myself, and I took my pen. What I do is I have a Galaxy Note pad, a 10-incher, and it's got this pen. So this is a godsend. I love this. And all I really do, here's the one I just did. It's going to be hard to catch, but there's a part of it. You can maybe see a part of it. Anyways, when and if I post this, I'll connect it with the drawing so you can see. So I start with a blank page, and I empty my mind, and I kind of connect with the empty page, like empty mind, empty page, and then I just look at it and look at it, and then I just, sometimes I'll see a pattern and I'll draw it, and then I'll just follow it. Other times it's just emptiness, and I'll just let my hand go. And as I'm drawing, I try to find this space where I'm at the edge of the action and surrender. So I'm trying to stay as much as I can in the emptiness, and like not go too far, like, oh wait, I see that. Let's try to like just let it go. And then I'll stop and I'll create a layer. I'll do layers. Like if I have a pattern, I went, that feels good. I would keep it on to keep it on that layer, add another layer, and then do and see to add to it and see what calls to me. Um, and it's interesting how things are called. For example, in this one, um, I started with this. I started with the black thin line, just doing wavy lines. That was the pattern. And I got into this rhythm, and then I stopped, and it felt pretty good. I added this layer, and I wasn't sure what to do. And I played with the pens and the colors, and all of a sudden, like one pen felt right, and one color felt right. So I did that, and I started to just do that, and it was a very thin line, almost imperceptible. And I think it was purple color, or whatever. And I just let my hand just inside of the other thing that I created in black, darker. I just let the flow happen inside of it in twirling lines. And then I felt, okay, that's done, that's done. What if, and I just had this idea, what if I went through the color spectrum and I did a round of this stream of consciousness spiraling inside that main pattern with the different colors, and go through the stages and actually to see if it creates something interesting. As I'm layering it up across the color spectrum, what does it create? And because it's so fine, it creates this very interesting kind of mesh, this meshwork. That was very cool. And then I felt, okay, that's beautiful. And then I felt, well, it doesn't feel done. And so I added a third layer and said, what do I need to do? And I did the seeking there. And I felt, all of a sudden, I felt drawn to this one pen that does like a spreading kind of thing, like spray paint, you know. But it was a light one, and so I just did a black but light, so it comes out like gray. Or, and I just did these. I felt like just in the certain points around the edge, I felt like doing. So I just guided it, did it, and so then now it feels finished. And what I usually do is I will export it from this program, which is I think it's Autodesk Sketchbook. Can't remember now what it's called. I'll put it out there. Anyways, then I take it into these other programs that I can play with some of the more textures and some of these other kind of exposures with it, and start playing with it, which I usually do. And then when I go through this whole thing of letting it speak to me. And finally, there's this moment where it's like, all right, that's the one. Then I ask, what's its name? And I meditate on that, and I usually get a name, and then I post it to Instagram. Now, for me, I look at these and I can enter this. For me, there's a connection to that state of consciousness that I created in it, and to the experience. I feel kind of this resonance to it, but that's me. I've showed it to some people, and some people don't feel it. Some people do. So it's just the process I'm doing. It feeds my soul, it feeds my spirit, and perhaps it'll feed yours too, hopefully. I think any kind of thing we do, that we use our full consciousness, that we really kind of give our full self to, is important. It's not about, if you're the most talented person in the world, but if you could give yourself fully, I think people feel it. I think they do. And actually, I have this theory about the great art, that the reason why a Rembrandt or a Michelangelo stand out is because they have these great talents and skills. And on top of that, they embed their beingness. They are so fully invested at a level of consciousness and awareness and attention that it's like their beingness goes into the work. So you could, when I was going through Europe and I was at the Louvre and I was at all these different museums, I was blown away because some of these great works, I can almost feel a presence behind them. And that really that made me kind of grok it that something's going on here, you know? And I've always kind of, even as a kid, I would get into an altered state when I drew. I didn't know what altered states were. I would just, you know, it started with, you know, kids laughing at my stuttering, and I would go off to my desk and draw something, and I would go off into this other state. And I say now, you know, it was like, it was the beginning of all this, you know, and it was kind of, it helped me to deal with the feelings and all that, but it helped me to kind of step outside of it, you know, not just, it didn't really kind of feel like suppressing it like today. It didn't really suppress it, it kind of channeled it. So I was channeling it, and some of that energy kind of comes out through it and gets it out. But it also puts me in that state. So it's a very, I recommend it to anybody. You don't have to be an artist. You know, you don't have to call yourself an artist or whatever. But if there's something, you know, drawing, painting, I don't know, even photography, you can still get in that stream. Like, if you know, everyone's got a phone that has a camera, you know, and if you see something beautiful, try to be in that moment, be fully present, and first be fully present and enjoy it. And then if you feel it, if you feel drawn, you want to capture it somehow, try to just be in that presence and let it speak to you. Say, what kind of image am I seeing? What can I do? How can I frame this? Or, you know, what would the, you know, what's speaking to me, not intellectually, like how can I capture this and make it look best, but what's calling to me. Because Michelangelo said that his ideas for his sculptures came from the rocks, or from God, but then he was shown that there was a sculpture hidden in the rock, and the divine showed him it was there, and so he just was freeing the rock. And in a way, that's kind of the foundation of really tapping into the creative muse, is understanding that the universe speaks to us if we listen, and if we connect it to the creative force, it helps us to co-create with it, you know, when we're in that stream. So that's a little bit of that. So I think that's enough for today. I didn't want to do today. I wasn't like, you know, after that experience of being reminded that I have to find another place to go, I have to find a way to survive, to make a living, and still be able to continue my work. Because if I can't, you know, I don't know. I actually can't do it. You know, if I'm not doing my work, I'm a vegetable, really. You know, when I'm doing my work, I'm like, like a normal person. But I haven't been able to get really paid enough for my work. So hopefully I'm going to, part of this I'm doing is for Patreon, to see if the universe is going to support my work in this way. But even if not, I feel like I have to just find a way to do this. So I'm going to be working on that. Anyways, I am working on that right now. So anyways, I was feeling like, oh, not feeling that great. Maybe I won't do it. So no matter what, even share that I'm not feeling great. So, but then after I did the drawing, I felt better. So there you go. So that's it for today. Signing off. I don't know who I'm talking to, but if I'm talking to somebody, cool. Have a good one. Peace out.